One of the glittering hopes of the future can be summed up in two words: geothermal everywhere.
If the world's going to decarbonize in a reasonable time frame and at a reasonable cost, we're going to need a low carbon heat source and power source that's 24/7, non-weather dependent, can be implemented almost anywhere in the world.
It is a constant and very efficient source of renewable energy.
There are only a few candidates for that role: nuclear fission and fusion, perhaps carbon capture and storage on natural gas, and super hot rock geothermal.
To get the whole country behind climate action, the solutions can't all be branded as green and left. And that's what's exciting about geothermal. On top of its promise of abundant and reliable clean energy, it's congenial to fossil fuel states and their vast infrastructure.
Today, heroic individuals who've spent their entire careers working for the very industry that is blamed for the climate crisis are developing the technologies capable of delivering geothermal everywhere.
The ground is shifting under every single one of those hurdles, pardon the pun. It seems like every single one of those hurdles is really loosening, and that is the thing that gives me hope.
We all know that there's unlimited energy right under our feet, but it's been tantalizingly hard to access cost effectively.
I am very excited about the possibility that we will continue to develop our geothermal potential.
Drill, baby, drill. For heat, not oil. It's an idea whose time has come.
It's happening. Buckle up. This is going to be amazing.
Hi, everyone. My name is Priscilla Gagliano, and I am honored to kick things off for week 2 of Pivot 2023. Before we get started, I would love to give a huge shout out to Project Innerspace for always putting on such a great event. I'm going to be honest, when I was asked to do this, it made me a little nervous because I was trying to figure out what to say. What is it that I wanted to share? So needless to say, I was feeling a little heat beneath my feet. So here goes. Trying to think on the theme of this year and building bridges. I am a civil engineer by degree. A lot of people have great stories about how they pick their majors. Well, mine was fairly simple in the fact that I just was fascinated by bridge construction. Every time we would go on vacation, I would see a bridge. It was always interesting to me how that bridge was constructed. And we all know the purpose of a bridge is what? To get from point A to point B. But there is a little bit more that goes into that. First of all, you have your site selection, if a bridge doesn't already exist in that space. And then it comes down to the engineering side of things, the design, the aesthetics, and a goal. There's always a goal with that. So kind of relating that to geothermal is kind of interesting because what happens? In building a bridge, you start with a site. Geothermal is the same way. We start with our site selection and then we have a goal in mind. Even though the goal may be very similar, the path to get there is always a little different and faces a lot of its different challenges. Geothermal is the same way. We have a similar goal, but how we get there tends to be a little bit different. And that's kind of where innovation comes in. I'm thinking back when I started my career in oil and gas over 20 years ago. I had no idea where this journey would take me. And wow, what an exciting journey it has been. As a young engineer, I worked on this offshore project, and it was the first project in the world to drill a well in over 10,000 feet of water. It's a little bit hard to comprehend, given the fact that you had to get to that depth before you actually even started drilling for an oil or gas reserve. So fast forward, now, back then, it looked like an unsurmountable feat. It was a challenge. There was a lot of engineering that went into that. Now, that's kind of the norm in some areas. So in oil and gas, this is kind of what we do. We push the boundaries, we test the limits, and as a result, we innovate new ways to access energy resources. From that innovation comes improved processes, efficiencies, and that ultimately leads to cost savings, making these types of projects more economical. One of the things I always want to focus to is safety. In the oil and gas industry, safety has always been number one and in the forefront of every project that we do. We always like to send people home the way they showed up to work that morning. And, you know, geothermal is no different. Yes, there are places in the world that have been tapping into this amazing resource for decades, using the knowledge, the expertise, and the technology that's been developed in the oil and gas industry. It's when you step out of that comfort zone and face new challenges that accessing geothermal anywhere, that's when things get really interesting. I had the privilege to moderate a panel discussion last week as we explored Iceland's deep drilling project. Do you know, while drilling that first well, the team encountered an unexpected magma bag at a depth of 2,100 meters? For my US folks, that's about 1.3 miles. And you know, instead of backing away, that well was actually completed and flow tested for 2 years and became the world's hottest producing geothermal well with a wellhead temperature of 450 degrees C. That's 842 degree F. With that dry, superheated steam at high pressures, that well was actually capable of producing up to 36 megawatts of energy. That's from a single well bore. So this sparked the Krafla magma testbed. This is fascinating to me in the fact that it's the world's first magma research facility where researchers can access an actual magma chamber for advanced understanding and experiments concerning magma dynamics, extreme geothermal energy, and volcanic risks. So why is that so important? So this groundbreaking undertaking could help protect millions of people from volcanic disasters and explore ways to capture geothermal energy more efficiently from a single wellbore. Wow. I don't know about you, but when I think of harnessing geothermal energy directly from molten 900-degree rock, kind of blows my mind. So to quote Brian Halligan, innovation, imagine the future and fill in the gaps. It's kind of like building a bridge. And with my friends, it's exactly what is happening right now in geothermal. We have a need for this clean, renewable, reliable, scalable, natural energy source. And folks are starting to figure it out outside the areas of conventional geothermal. How exciting is that? It's like we have a front row seat to this amazing endeavor. We've seen tons of strides in legislation and policies supporting the geothermal effort, and then startups, amazing startups from a lot of oil and gas veterans, like those with Ever, Fervo, Quaise, Greenfire, and Sage, just to name a few that are pushing the boundaries and testing the limits, making significant strides in helping to achieve the goal of geothermal anywhere. Last week, we learned about lessons, local geothermal solutions around the world, and even challenges that we currently faced. So what can you expect this week? More informative geothermal discussion, sessions and panels around the versatility of geothermal, exciting news from Project Interspace on geothermal resource mapping, Sage Geosystems pilot technology, and excitement around Jordan Nielsen's disruptive R&D competition. So you won't want to miss a thing. Thank you so much for tuning in. My challenge to you all is that you go out there, be thought leaders, and make changes Be those change makers, because today we're building bridges to support the future of geothermal energy.